Hey, hi everyone. Jerri Rosen with Working Wardrobes. Welcome to Workshop 3 with Smart Women and Kelly Lamb. And so I just want to welcome you all to our third session. We've got a lot of things going on at Working Wardrobes, but while I have some hot breaking news for you. In the last couple of days, we now have a lease signed for our new donation center. Oh my goodness, it's going to be open in June. I promise to tell you the address as soon as we're open, because I know if I tell you now, you're going to drop off clothes and we're not quite ready. So please keep your clothes on hangers. Don't give us anything in trash bags, and we'll be open in early June. So we're excited about that. And we're going to have a separate location for our mission, our Career Success Center, and that's going to be in Santa Ana. Give you that address too. We're going to be open there in July. So between now and July, we have a lot of work to do to get these two centers open, but we are so excited. We told you we were going to rebuild, and we're doing just that. So we're very, very excited. So lots going on with Smart Women. Kelly is back, and we're excited about that. We're doing some Rebuilding Careers workshops, and that's going so incredibly well. People are calling in across the country, across the state of California. And guess who's going to be one of our speakers coming up in June? None other than Kelly Lamb. Kelly, what are you going to be talking about on Rebuilding Careers?
We are going to discuss how to reuse food and make leftovers more meals throughout the week.
I think that is so, I love leftovers. It's kind of like mindless. You don't have to think about it. You just make a little extra and you're going to have something the next day. Fantastic. I love it. Thank you for doing more with us. I just love that every part of our business has got the Kelly Lamb stamp of approval on it. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah, so we're excited about that. And you know, Kelly and I were talking about this show, and I was sort of lamenting. And I said, Kelly, I don't think it's time to say goodbye. So we've got a sneak peek at the end of today's show. We're going to tell you about 2 more sessions that Kelly and I are going to do on very, very different topics. So we're going to stay together because it's Kelly and Jerri having a great time, and we hope that you'll join us for those as well. So Kelly, I'm just thinking about some of the things that we talked about in our last session. I want to tell you that I now have the Peloton app on my phone. I love it.
Oh, that's great.
I'm using my phone when I'm out on a walk, and those Peloton trainers are crazy, wild, wonderful people. They really keep you moving. The music is great. The energy is great. So thank you for that. That's a great, great tip.
Oh, I'm so happy. That's good to hear.
So I sent you a little tip early in the morning hours on the exercises that you could do on the stairs. What do you think about that?
I loved those. It was so clever, and they had good visuals along with it, which was great.
So maybe we'll send that out to everyone so they can add that to the exercises we were talking home. So if you have even a minimum of 2 or 3 sets of stairs in your home, you can do some really wild workouts. If you've got a full set of stairs, there's lots of things that you can do. So there's not even a chance that you can't do something at home. So we're going to share all the news that we can with you. So Kelly, what are you drinking today?
Honestly, I'm drinking ice water out of my Yeti.
Okay, so honestly, I'm drinking hot water with fresh ginger. That original recipe that you told us about. I sliced up fresh ginger, put it in my hot water cooker. It's really good.
It is. Ginger's great. And like I had mentioned, if you do it in your crock pot and you put the ginger in a crock pot and let it sit overnight, take that water, drain it, put it in ice cube trays, then you have ginger ice cubes. You can just throw in ice water all day.
Okay, that's the tip for the summer. I love that idea.
Tip, exactly.
So we want to get into our third session. And by the way, I just want to let everybody know that we're going to do an abbreviated session because we've been watching how much time you tune in with us. And there's a certain place where you either drift off or maybe you've got other things to do. So we're going to keep you as engaged and interested as we possibly can in a shorter session. So stay tuned, and I hope you've got something delicious to drink. Because Kelly and I are going to talk about what we see as being this transition from the time that we've been sheltering at home to where we might be going into a workplace or some way that we're going to spend more time outside of our homes. So Kelly, first of all, I think we really have to talk about how big these transitions have been, right? I mean, this sheltering in place edict came down like a sledgehammer.
Oh yeah.
And honestly, nobody had any time to prepare for that.
No.
So how do you identify that kind of a really abrupt transition? What does that do to people's psyche?
I mean, it's emotional. It really is. We've all experienced it. And I think that the emotions change on a daily basis. Now that we've been sheltering in place for a longer amount of time, I think maybe our emotions are, I don't want to say settled, but maybe slowly settling. It's really difficult. I mean, for all ages. I'm not only watching what I'm going through, what my husband, who's a little bit older than me, is going through, down to what my son, who's 4 years old.
Yes.
His school items, his backpack, and everything that he has at school, it's still there. We didn't even have time to go back to school to get his stuff. It was literally one day, picked him up, next day wasn't in school anymore. And
Right.
so I think the worry is now that we're trying to figure out what's next is, are we going to have PTSD? What is it going to be like?
Well, and now we have some time to do that planning. We have some time to really think about what that transition is. But the truth is that that time that we've had kind of sheltering in place has actually given us some gifts. I mean, we've done some things, I think hopefully, that have been really positive. So we're very different people, you and I. You're young, you've got a young son. I'm just a little bit older. I don't have any kids. What do you what are your gifts, Kelly? What came up for you when you thought about the good news about the sheltering in place time?
Honestly, spending more time with my family. I am a terrible homeschooler. I was not made to be a pre-K teacher, so that I'm horrible at. But I have had so much fun with my son and just spending time with him and coming up with creative craft ideas and creative recipes and just ways to engage. So I think that might be the hardest part for me, is when it's time to send him back to school. It's going to be difficult because we joke that we're homies. Like, we're just little homies hanging out all day long and we have a blast. So that has been such a blessing. And another thing, the clean freak in me has been beyond happy. I have cleaned out kitchen cupboards. Today I did a DIY project as Levi's art project, and we painted wood stumps from a tree that my dad actually cut down, and we sanded them and we painted them, and that was our whole art project for school today. And things like that, I'm going to miss that. These are just such beautiful memories we've been able to create during a really hard time.
So I think that's so important that you have sort of this little history of beautiful moments, right? That these are gifts that you've given to Levi, you've given to your husband, and given to you. And I feel much the same way. I mean, I have in some ways really loved this time. I love my home. I've spent more time connecting with friends because it's been much more intentional, right? I mean, we've got to set time for a happy hour or a phone call or a FaceTime call. And it's been so good just to connect with people and spend absolute quality time, no waiters, nothing else around us, but just great conversation. And I've loved that. And I gave myself also the gift of doing my early morning walks that I had given up. So
I love that. I started running,
yeah,
and I've never ran in my life. And now it's been 3 months and I'm running. I mean, that's huge for me. So I love that. These little gifts that we've been able to create, now we're just going to move forward with and continue to do.
Well, and because we have a whole remote team that everyone is working at home, we have found that many of our staff have been really much more productive because they've had this time at home to focus and not to necessarily be interrupted by meetings. And it's really amazing to see how much work has been done by this strong little team that's still in place. I'm so proud of them. And it's really this idea of how remote work can be really some of your best work. And you sent me a fascinating article, Kelly, in Forbes magazine, that I'd love to send out to all of our viewers today. Any thoughts when you read that about how people can be more productive at home?
I loved it. One thing that came out for me is they talked about self-isolation and going through the emotions of what that is. And they were very aware right off the bat in the start of the article talking about that, and then breaks down so many little things that are just great reminders of how to stay productive while you're working at home, and then also still to be able to keep a personal life. So I thought it was a wonderful article.
Well, and because there are both the positives and negatives, right? I mean, there are people that really feel so much more isolated and lonely when they're on their own. And you did mention that there could be this fear of PTS with some people. How do you think that's going to manifest itself?
I think just like the first few weeks of when we went into quarantine, I think the first few weeks of getting out and about, everyone will be taking a bit more of a step back, a little more scared to sit in a conference room. Maybe if they have their own individual office, perhaps a little nervous to have people come into their office and sit and talk with them. So it's going to have to be, starting to get used to this new normal. I think a great example is when we all had to go to the grocery store for the first time and wear a mask. That was very nerve-wracking. It was uncomfortable. And it took, I think the first few weeks of that was such a hard time for me. And now I'm fine with it. It feels like the new norm. So I think it's just going to take a few weeks for people.
So we definitely, of course, have to think about our masks. And I just want to give a plug to our dear friends, Michaela and Devin with HEST, Charity for Working Wardrobes. These industrious ladies have sold close to 350 masks and have donated close to $2,000 to Working Wardrobes. So are they smart women or what? But this is something we have to think about. I mean, we're going to go into an office and possibly sit across the table from someone, and we're going to be wearing masks. What's that going to do to our communication? How much of a barrier is that to what we may want to be saying to each other? And can we get beyond that?
I had to run into the bank today, and the gentleman that was helping, he was a younger kid, and he was so nice. And it like warmed my heart, because you can't tell if someone's smiling, but he had you could just see it, above his mask, right in his eyes. He had such a nice smile. And I said to him, it's funny, I'm smiling back at you, but you probably can't tell, but I can see, you have this cheery look in your eyes. And that's what's going to be hard.
Yes.
There's a lot of facial expressions people aren't going to be able to see. So we're really going to have to look into people's eyes and, feel with them. There's going to have to be a lot of feeling happening.
So on the positive side, somebody just mentioned to me the other day that, isn't it great that we can wear a mask because it'll cover our double chins? I mean, how great to be able to make lemonade out of wearing a mask and say, you know what? It's a fashion accessory and we're going to just make it work for ourselves, right?
It's very true.
So, I think there's lots of issues that are going to crop up for people. You talked about the fear about going into a grocery store. So we're about to create our new donation center all over again and our new career center. And we have given tons of thought to the safety protocols that we want to have in place. Because at the end of the day, this is about making people feel comfortable and confident that they're going to be safe. Yes. And that we're going to take good care of them. So we have spent, honestly, a lot of money on masks and gloves and sanitizer, and just thinking through what is the signage, what are the protocols that we want to have in place. Business is different than it's ever been. We have always prided ourselves as an organization of being both high tech and high touch. Well, the high touch, the hugs is a little bit, that's not going to happen. We've got to be able to find a way to either greet people genuinely, but with a different kind of a sense of connection. Is there anything else that we can do? What else could replicate a hug that you're aware of, Kelli?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. I think just being kind, just be kind. I do have to say, I think with everything that has been going on with COVID, there has been more of a sense of humanity, and people have been getting closer, not physically, but closer as a society. And I think that if we can lead with kindness, because we're not going to be able to give the hug or the kiss on the cheek or whatever it be. So I would say kindness.
So I think there's a lot in our voices that we need to continue to work on, right? It's our tone and the words that we use. And obviously we need to make sure that we're heard. I mean, if our voices are a little muffled because we're wearing a mask, we need to make sure that we get our voices heard, because it's just so important. I mean, I've been thinking about people that have a hearing loss. This is really serious for them if you've got to cover your face. But we've got some time, and we've talked about how do we look at embracing this time that we want to prepare for this transition. We've got the time to think about this much more mindfully and thoughtfully. How do we best prepare ourselves to sort of come out of this cocoon-like time that we've been in? What do we need to do? What do we need to say to ourselves, Kelli?
I think we need to be really mindful about what's best for us as individuals. And if you're look at yourself, and then if you're looking at your family as a whole, look at each person and what you think that that person needs, and have a conversation with them. I know in my household, my needs are much different than my husband's. I mean, pretty much in every male and female relationship, right? But, you know, I think having those conversations together about what we need, like I am going to have to mindfully really focus on staying calm. I tend to have high anxiety. It's just natural for me. So I'm going to have to really be aware of staying calm and not getting nervous about wearing masks or nervous about people coming too close or whatever it be. And then continuing to be able to lead with that kindness and not let that any type of anxiety that I may get take over the kindness.
So I think those are really good tips. And, you know, I think we also have to make sure that we're thinking much more long-term than just that initial transition, right? So, I mean, we've got time to think about it. Things aren't as open as we'd like to have them be. We want to open our donation center in June. We want to open up our stores and our career center in July. So we've got to start to think about, can the work that we do and the businesses that we run continue to be sustainable? And how do we build for that over the long term? Because this is not just, can we make it back to work? Can we make work work? And can we really find our way to increase our revenue and get back on our feet again? I mean, all businesses, as Wing's business, we've all got to figure out how we can build our businesses back again.
Absolutely, because every business is now functioning at a different level. I mean, we can take hospitality for interest. I can't speak, but look at hospitality. I mean, staying at hotels and eating out at restaurants, it's going to be a whole new experience. And so everyone has to get very creative on how to keep their businesses. I mean, for us, we're in the corporate offices working with people hands-on, not only doing fitness classes, but food demos. So now everything as of right now is virtual, and that changes the experience, but we also have to keep that revenue coming in. So it's about really being flexible and working with the new times.
So let's talk a little bit about that, because your business is very much an intimate experience, right? I mean, you're one-on-one with individuals, or you're in a room with people in a company, and now you're doing it remote. So tell us what the whole purpose can do back in the workforce, and what are the opportunities that you might be able to offer the people that are listening in?
You know, as I mentioned, we have gone virtual. So any classes that we teach as of right now, we can do all across the board at the virtual platform on Zoom. Some offices, as they open up, they have been reaching out, asking us, and they're all looking about that July 1st date. And so we will be coming in and still doing not only hands-on classes, but also doing a lot of team building and mindfulness courses to work with the teams that are going to be on site, and then the teams that are also going to still be working remotely. Because what we're finding is offices are changing up their hours, and they're going to be changing up shifts. So maybe 50% of the team will work 1 week at the office, and then the next week they'll be home, while that other 50% goes in the office the next week. So what we're doing is building programs that can help if you're fluctuating from week to week, help keep everyone not only together and working strategically, but also being mindful about how they're feeling mentally and physically.
So I can't imagine how much more challenging doing some team building with remote locations as well as an office location. How do you create, or how do you break down any of those communication barriers between the person in his pajamas and the person who's, you know, just gone to the kitchen to get another cup of coffee?
You know, it's funny, what we have found is challenges have worked really well, and people are getting quite creative. So those from home are kind of getting a little more silly than those that are, you know, will be in the office. But we have been doing some team building for offices that are, they're all working remotely, obviously, right now. And it's really fun to see how creative people get. So whether it be, we did a mixology one just to kind of create fun, have a healthy happy hour, and had everyone create different cocktails. You should have seen the things that came through. It was hilarious.
I think that's such a great idea. It's such a great idea.
Yeah, it's things like that to keep light and keep everyone still working together. And it's still team building, but they're working together and they're having fun and they're creating these cocktails in groups, and then they're doing them at home. And then every group is at their individual home, then presenting the cocktail that they made, that the group, you know, created together. So we're doing.
I want to be on that call. That's
right.
That sounds like great fun.
They were having a blast. I was the one that wasn't drinking, thinking, man, I want to be making these with them.
Absolutely. So we spent a lot of time last time talking about what we could do in the way of exercise in our homes. And I want to make sure that we don't kind of lose that little opportunity if we go back into the workforce. So any tips that you might have, Kelli, on what we could do while we're in our offices so that we can take a little exercise break or add some lunges or kicks? What can we do if we're either sitting or standing at our desks?
You know, I think something that is wonderful is set your alarm, as we talked about the last time. Have your alarm set, and maybe it's every 30 minutes, maybe it's every hour, whatever it is. And when that alarm goes off, no matter what you're doing, stand up, walk around the office, maybe go outside, walk around the entire building. If you have an office and you can close your door, do 20 squats. I mean, if you're in a cubicle and you don't mind people seeing you squat, do 20 squats. You know, it's things like that. Or if it's a really stressful day and your alarm goes off at that 1 hour mark, just sit at your desk, put your feet on the floor, put your hands on your palms, close your eyes, and just breathe. And there's a breathing exercise that is so simple to calm anxiety, and you breathe through your nose and you count to 5, you hold it for 2 seconds, and then you exhale through your mouth on a slow count to 5. Do that a handful of times and you'll feel yourself, just the anxiety just lowers, you feel calm, and then you can go ahead and get back started.
I love that. And you know, these trainers that I'm listening to on my Peloton app do that deep breathing as we're getting ready to go for a long walk. We forget to do that. I think we're doing all this shallow breathing and that deep breath. It's all about that breath and how we can really just de-stress ourselves.
It is, and something that I think we should all, it's very important, all of us should be aware of, is as you're wearing your masks, you're not getting the normal amount of oxygen you get, obviously, when your face isn't covered. And even when, like, even just now, they say that we only truly use 60% of our lung capacity because we just breathe at a softer tempo. So if you focus on getting bigger breaths, you're going to go bring more oxygen into your lungs over that 60%. And now if you're wearing a mask, you're really going to be lower than that. My husband, actually sent him to the doctor last week. He wasn't very happy with me, but he was complaining of lightheadedness and dizziness. And he had a little fainting spell in front of me, and it really scared the daylights out of me. And I sent him to his doctor, and the doctor said, you won't believe how many clients have been calling in with this same issue. And it's all clients that are wearing a mask at work.
Wow. And we're not used to being able to breathe deeply enough with the mask on.
Exactly. So really,
and it does sort of make us a little tense, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And being able to focus and do these breathing exercises different times throughout the day when you don't have your mask on is really helpful. So that's something to please keep in mind and be aware of.
So if there's a CEO or a division leader out there, Kelli, that wants to bring some tips into the work that he or she is doing in their companies, what are the things that you would like to say to them?
For coming from what the whole purpose can do, I'm sorry, Levi just crawled right behind me and I got sidetracked.
Wondered who that was.
Sorry, he dropped on the floor and Army crawled behind me to go grab his shoes.
Well, have him pop up and say hi to us. He is so darn cute.
So I'm sorry. So what the whole purpose can do for CEOs?
For CEOs, and what are the tips that you think that CEOs want to instantly think about as they're building this transitional time for their employees?
Being aware of personal space for all employees, and really focusing on knowing that the first few weeks, like we said, are going to be a transition. So people are going to have that anxiety and nerves are going to be a little high. So I think being aware of that and maybe having good plans for each department in place, where it's weekly goals or a strategic plan for each week for the first few weeks to help people guide and have just check off lists. I think that's going to be really important.
I think that is really, really important. So Kelli, we talked about doing 2 more workshops.
Yes.
And we want to do this in June. So I want to let everybody know that the dates for the 2 workshops are June 11, and Kelli and I are going to be talking about slimming summer ways to eat. And we're going to actually do that workshop as a remote broadcast in our new donation center in Irvine. So you'll all get the address and you'll all get the link, but that's going to be on June 11. And then we're going to wrap up our time together on June 25, and we're going to be talking about some local hotspots where you just might decide to take a staycation. I don't know how many people want to get on a plane right now, but obviously we need some breaks. We want to take some vacation time. And Kelli, I know you've got your finger and your pulse on the hotspots in California, and you want to share some of those with us, right?
Exactly. Traveling is one of our favorite things to do, and we're not able to do it. So we're coming up with really fun day and weekend just excursions where you don't have to stay in a hotel, and fun all day things you can do during the weekend and keep everyone happy at all ages.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So everyone, we want you to take a look at the Working Wardrobes website, learn more about Smart Women, decide that you want to become a member today. We still are offering our 30th anniversary special price of $30 a month as membership. That money helps us serve more clients. So you're helping the mission of Working Wardrobes when you decide to become a Smart Women. And honestly, if you're one of the men out there listening in, you can join too. We love smart men almost as much as we love smart women. So Kelli, I want to thank you for being with me again. I tell you, this is so much fun just to have time to talk to you. I love it. And we've been getting some calls and notes from people saying they love this topic because this is authentic. We have fears, we have concerns, we have, I think, some excitement about what's going on, but I think we have to articulate that. I think it's important to put words to those feelings.
I agree. And we're all in this together. We're all in the same boat. So we can do this. May not be hand in hand, but we can all do it together.
Well, we all have to do it together because that's exactly what's coming down. So Kelli and I are going to do 2 more sessions together, a remote broadcast, and then we'll figure out the last one. But what we want more than anything is for you to be with us June 11 and June 25. And until our next session, please take good care of yourself, stay safe, stay healthy, stay connected, and come back and be with us again soon. Thank you, Kelli. See you again soon.
Thank you, so great to see you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.